You are Jackal, a captain and leader of a local militia called the New USSR. The New USSR is a militia group striving to bring back the ideology and principles of the original Soviet Union, while also calling for the genocide of any non-ethnic Russians. As such, the European Union and NATO have formed an alliance known as the Sandwich Pact, which states that any country participating in the pact must now vow to do whatever they can in their power to stop the spread and corruption of the new USSR. Sadly, this will prove to be a hard task, as many new USSR members and activists have started to spread their influence across the globe, gaining supporters at an alarming rate. It is now in the hands of the United States of America, NATO and the European Union to come up with a way to combat new USSR forces. You are currently in your headquarters located in New Kiev, Ukraine. The headquarters of the new USSR, also known as the Red Fortress, is the nerve center of the revolutionary movement. All of your operations and intelligence are done here, as are all military plans. Your soldiers are trained here, and your spies manage to obtain a vast amount of information on every other country in the world. The center of the headquarters is the Great Hall. In here, there are 3 large maps showing all of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. You can see Russia on the map, which is what really interests you. You sit in your comfortable leather chair and look at the maps. You tap your finger on the spot where Russia is. It is a large red mark, showing the area known as the Urals. You know that in reality, the Urals are a vast forest, but for some reason, the Russians decided to call the area where you are located the Urals. You think for a bit on who you should invite to your meeting. Options: A. You should invite all the leaders of the new USSR. B. You should invite all the soldiers in the new USSR. C. You should invite all the spies in the new USSR. D. You should invite all the citizens in the new USSR. Answer: B. You should invite all the soldiers in the new USSR. Question: Who do you think should come to your meeting? The first thing that comes to your mind is the leader of the new USSR, Jackal. Then you think of the soldiers that fight for the new USSR. You're pretty sure that they will all be able to make it, and the meeting will be interesting enough to warrant their presence. You call the military base of the new USSR located in New Kiev. You speak with a Russian man who is in charge of intelligence for the new USSR. You tell him you want to invite the leaders of the new USSR to a meeting. The man tells you that you'll have to speak to the Russian military base in New Kiev to arrange a meeting. You call the Russian military base in New Kiev. The Russian woman in charge of the military base tells you that the meeting will be at 9 p.m. that night. You have plenty of time to prepare for the meeting. You gather all the information about the new USSR you can find. You learn that the military base of the new USSR is located in the basement of a building called the Palace of the Soviets. The building was built in the 1920s in Moscow, and became the headquarters of the Soviet Union in the 1950s. You prepare for the meeting. You assemble your group of leaders, who are a total of 27 people. You give each of them a walkie-talkie so that you can speak to them all. Then you explain the situation to them. You tell them that the new USSR will be attacking the United States and the European Union in the next few days. You ask that they do what they can to prepare for the attack. You also tell them that you will be attacked that night. You give your group of leaders 2 days to decide how they are going to react to the attack. You tell them that if they do not attack the new USSR, you will kill their families. You head off to your own room. You have a few walkie-talkies of your own so that you can speak to your own spies and militia members. You also have a large arsenal of guns and grenades. You know that you will need it. You sit down and think of how to plan your attack. You have a few different strategies that you can use. You can either attack the military base where the Russian leaders are located. You can attack a military base in Moscow, which is under the control of the new USSR. You can also attack the Kremlin, which is the home of the Russian leaders. You decide that attacking the military base in Moscow is the best course of action. The leaders are there, after all, and the military base is a larger target than any other. You head off to speak with your leaders again. You have a few options to choose from. 1. You can head off to your room. 2. You can go and speak with your leaders. You call your leaders again. You tell them that you have decided to attack the Kremlin. You tell them that they have 2 days to decide what they want to do. If they do not act within those 2 days, you will attack them. You also tell them that you will be attacking the Russian government. You get a call back from your leaders. They tell you that they have decided to attack the Russian government. They say that they have already contacted their sleeper agents, and they have decided to launch a series of bombings in major Russian cities. You tell them that is good, because you will need their help in order to launch your attack. You are about to hang up the phone when you remember something. You ask the leaders again what their plans are. They tell you that they are going to use their own spies to launch bombings in the cities of Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Novosibirsk. You think about it. You can either launch a series of bombings of your own, or you can use the United States' own military. You decide to go with the United States military option. You tell your leaders that you will be attacking with the United States military. You tell them that you will be launching missiles into Russia. You also tell them that you will be launching a surprise attack at nightfall. You make plans to meet that night. You assemble your forces and head off to the meeting place. You arrive at the meeting place, a large underground room in the underground palace. You see dozens of people waiting for you. You take your place at the head of the table. You look at your group of leaders. They are all present, with the exception of the leader of the Russian sleeper agents. Our friends from the Kremlin are not here yet, one of your leaders says. When they arrive, we will begin. Are the missiles ready? One of the leaders asks. Yes, you tell him. Good. What time is the attack? At nightfall. There is silence. All of you are thinking the same thing. You all know that the attack will be at nightfall. You wait patiently. Eventually, the door opens, and the leaders of the Russian sleeper agents walk in. You all stand up. Hello, brothers and sisters, one of the leaders says. I am so glad you could all make it. We have so much to discuss. Are the missiles ready? You ask. They're ready, the leader says. We are all going to die together as one. You stare at him. Is he joking? Or is he serious? We launch missiles at the same time. The leader continues. Then, we all die together as one. You are all thinking the same thing. If the missiles don't go off, the United States will launch a ground attack at the same time. If that happens, you all will be obliterated. Are we ready? You ask. Ready, the leaders say in unison. You feel the tension. The leaders of the Russian sleeper agents sit down. You sit down as well. Brothers and sisters, one of the leaders says. We have been working day and night on these missiles. They are now ready. I will personally make sure that each one is loaded and ready to go. We will launch them at the same time. Good, you say. The leader presses a series of buttons. The doors to the underground rooms slide open. You look up, over the metal walls and ceiling, to the stars. They are so close. You are so close. You feel the tension. The missiles are ready. You are all set. You just have to wait. For 10 long minutes you wait. Then, finally it begins. There is a huge explosion. The walls and ceiling cave in. The ground shakes. There is another explosion. And another. And another. You feel the ground shake. There is another explosion. The walls and ceiling cave in. Dust rains down. The ground shakes. Then, finally, it stops. The dust clears. The walls and ceiling are lying in huge pieces on the ground. You stand up. You look out the door. The walls and ceiling have been destroyed. You look at your allies. Your allies are dead. All of them. They are all dead. You stare out the door. You look out at the Kremlin. The city is in ruins. Smoke is billowing from the buildings. The streets are in flames. You can see the top of the Kremlin in the distance. It too is in flames. You feel a hand on your shoulder. We did it, you hear. We destroyed the Kremlin. You turn around. Standing in the doorway is the leader of the Russian sleeper agents. He smiles at you. He says something else, but you don't understand the Russian language. Then, he shoots you in the head. You lie dead on the ground, next to your fellow terrorists. The end.